I believed the canker sores that I saw in their mouths because they were only allowed to be fed unnutritious food. I believed them when they said they were sleeping on concrete floors for 2 months. I believed them.
Was Representative Ocasio-Cortez testifying before the House Oversight Committee. And the point of this meeting was to discuss the conditions in which migrants are being detained in. There have now been multiple reports about the unsanitary and unsafe conditions that they're living in. And AOC has been very invested in improving these conditions, which is the reason why she refused to sign on to the appropriations bill, giving Trump the $4.6 billion he requested for border security. Now, with that said, I think it's important to hear more details about what she and other freshman Democrats experienced when they did visit these detention centers. Take a look.
And what was worse about this, Mr. Chairman, was the fact that there were American flags hanging all over these facilities, that children were being separated from their parents in front of an American flag, that women were being called these names under an American flag. We cannot allow for this because it is a policy of dehumanization implemented by this executive administration, laid at the feet of Stephen Miller, that creates a tinderbox of violence and dehumanization where hurt people hurt people.
So following her testimony, there was quite a bit of criticism, not in regard to what she had to say, because what she had to say was not only accurate, it was backed up by other members of Congress who accompanied her when she visited those detention facilities, but because she decided to get sworn in prior to testifying. So following her testimony, Ocasio-Cortez was mocked by conservatives on social media for asking to be formally sworn in at the hearing, a procedure committee chairman Elijah Cummings noted was not necessary. Now, one of the conservatives who attacked her was Mika Brzezinski, and she did it on Twitter with this tweet saying, "Why is this? Why AOC?" And she embedded a tweet from Tom Nichols that essentially mocks AOC. Now, AOC had a very clear reason for why she wanted to be sworn in. When you swear in, and I know a lot of Republicans don't care about this because they get sworn in and they lie anyway. But when you get sworn in, you are under oath, right? The whole idea is you are not lying. You have to be as honest and truthful as possible. And so here's what she had to say about her reasoning behind getting sworn in. GOP has been stating that I am lying about the translated accounts of migrants at the border, particularly about the fact that women were drinking out of a toilet bowl. Committee staff conferred with me ahead of time about requesting to be sworn in. Seems like that makes a lot of sense, right? But of course, it doesn't. It makes a lot of sense, but only if you're dealing with honest actors on the other side, and she's not dealing with honest actors. They don't care. They know you're telling the truth. They know what the reality is. They don't care, right? It is not the bug, it is the feature. They love that viciousness toward people of color, toward migrants, toward people who are desperate and vulnerable. It's not the bug, it's the feature.
Yeah, and it's funny, you said it, that being sworn in is a joke to people who get sworn in and don't tell the truth. You know what I mean? One thing that I will point out is for a lot of people who, I've heard a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric in the last couple of weeks. I had an argument with a lady at the passport office who was talking about immigrants, and it made me so angry. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is Puerto Rican. Immigration is not our fight, but because she's a collective thinker, I think that people don't realize there were a lot of Puerto Ricans, and I go under fire for saying that, who was like, that's not our deal. We are natural born citizens and we have our own fight over here. That is, to me, is an example of what it takes to make a change, to stand in solidarity with people. When black people say immigration is not our fight, and there are black people in Mexico in camps right now from Africa and Haiti who are begging for some asylum. This is what it takes to make a change, a collective mind and a collective body amongst people who really want to make a difference. That's when white people march for civil rights. That's what it takes to make a change in this country. So I commend her for taking that oath seriously enough to take it and say, I'm going to tell the truth and I want these people to know how much this means to me. It's revolutionary in a time when people are used to lying.
Sure, yes. We are reduced to tribalism. I mean, I also think that laying this on the feet of Stephen Miller is a brilliant job because he is actually on the ground right now in his little blanket fort. And he's got like a picture of the guy who called him a honky in middle school that started this whole thing. He's got like the hair he'd always want, and he's got a picture of the girl who rejected him. And that's just above all his little toy soldiers at the border. So,
and
you know.
I don't know if you guys saw him in the bagel shop the other day when he had that meltdown.
Oh yeah, he did have that little meltdown.
I don't know about
crazy.
We gotta show her.
I miss all the fun stuff. Oh,
no,
cool.
It was a different guy, but it was pretty much, it was like, do you know who I'm friends with? I'm friends with Stephen Miller, like that little bagel dude. Anyway, it was a brilliant moment. But yeah, this is the moment where you're gonna throw down for something you actually believe in. I mean, this is the issue that I think progressive Democrats are having. This is where their divisions with moderate Democrats are coming
definitely
to bear. And what better issue than this humanitarian crisis to actually feud over and to fight for the soul of this country. I mean, the thing about the American flag, like that's depressing as hell. We have to remember so many things have been done under the American flag in our names. Wars have been fought, millions have died under the American flag. The American flag, unfortunately, is not a symbol of freedom or progress for most people in this world.
Right. I mean, there's been a lot of propaganda and a lot of conditioning to convince people that the flag stands for all these wonderful things like liberty and justice and everything that we've heard over and over again. But the fact of the matter is, you're right. I mean, there have been groups of people who have historically been disenfranchised, discriminated against. We've known that. But I mean, with this administration, I don't understand how any member of Congress can sit by and watch as people literally die in Border Patrol custody. And by the way, on the right, you have people who aren't just sitting back and watching it, right? They're making excuses for it while simultaneously pushing to do away with reproductive rights in the name of being pro-life, right? Yeah. In the way of, supposedly because they care about protecting babies, about protecting children. There are children dying right now. At least 6 of them have died already. They do not care about life. No,
they don't. And the only thing I agreed with Donald Trump was that swamp needs to be drained. And it does they need to drain the swamp, starting with him on down, and they all need to go. And I'm not just talking about Republicans, because a lot of the people who are our biggest problem are the ones that are standing on our side and are our biggest impediment in terms of progress.